like a Hellcat.
Hello and welcome back to the channel where once again it's time for another Sega Master System game, with today's game being one of those titles that was exclusively released in the PAL region after the Master System had already been discontinued in North America and Japan. I'm talking about Robocop vs Terminator, which saw release in December of 1993. So once the game loads up, it will actually give you a detailed synopsis for the story, which is great, but I'm just going to try and simplify it briefly for you by telling you that in the future, Skynet have taken control, they're overloaded with Terminators, and it's Robocop's job to go there, defeat all the Terminators, and destroy Skynet once and for all. So once the main menu loads up, you'll see you've got a choice of start game and options. Headed into options, you can select the difficulty easy, normal or hard, and you can choose whether you want the music or sound effects on or off, as well as viewing the game's credits.
Thank you for your cooperation. Looking for trouble?
So like always, I'm going to start with visuals first, and Robocop vs Terminator is another great looking Master System game that came out towards the end of the console's life. The stages, I feel, on this game look really good, and they give you a great representation of the Robocop and Terminator aesthetics. I think they're a massive plus point for the game. As well as that, the Robocop character model looks really good as well. It genuinely looks like Robocop. And all of the enemies that you come across, they're well detailed as well, and the bosses as well. I genuinely feel it's a really good looking Master System game. As well as that, Robocop is animated very well. He is truly a great representation of Robocop within the game. I think it's top quality stuff, but of course, it's not all positive stuff because there is a huge amount of sprite flicker in this game, and the more action that's taking place on the screen, the worse it gets. As soon as you've got a couple of enemies trying to shoot you and you're trying to gun them down, sprite flicker goes into overdrive and bullets disappear and reappear, and of course they'll hit you and there's nothing really you can do about it. And as well as that, there is a lot of slowdown in this game. Again, once more action is taking place, the slowdown is there. You cannot avoid it. It is just part and parcel of the game. It's one of those things that you get when you go for such an optimistic approach that they have in terms of visual quality. You are inevitably going to get the sprite flicker and the slowdown. But overall, it's a great looking game with, of course, the drawbacks. So moving on to the sound effects and music next, and Robocop vs Terminator is a good sounding game, and one thing you'll notice pretty much as soon as you start playing the game is that it's actually got some voice samples in, and even better, they're actually really good. Just take a listen.
You're terminated. Looking for trouble? Excellent.
Now, as well as the good voice samples, we've actually got good sound effects within this game too, and the musical tracks are actually good as well, but there is one drawback. There are only 3 tunes within the whole entire game, which means when you're playing through these levels, and there are quite a few of them, you will find the tunes getting repetitive quite quickly. So what I'll do is give you some samples from the 3 tunes so you can decide how repetitive you would find them. So moving on to the gameplay next, and it's pretty simple run and gun mechanics here with a bit of platforming thrown in. You move with the D-pad, you shoot with button 1, and you jump with button too. There are a few weapon upgrades that Robocop can get, but I don't really feel they make too much of a difference to the game. He's got a few other items he can collect. He can regain his health, he can get an extra life, and he can be invincible for a short amount of time as well. And in general, the game plays really well, to be fair. I haven't really got any problems. Yes, there's slowdown, which does affect the gameplay, but it's not game-breaking in all fairness. And the game does provide a bit of a challenge. The further you get, the more bullets there are flying around, the more likely you are to lose lives. And it can get quite difficult. Now, there is one advantage. There is a simple cheat code you can put in. When you pause the game, put in a code and you can just get a few extra lives. So you don't really have to go through the frustration of dying and starting the game all over again in this day and age. So that's a good point as well. So overall in the gameplay department, I feel Robocop vs Terminator is actually a very good playing game. So moving on to content and lifespan next, and the game performs really well here because there are quite a lot of levels for you to see, and there are secret levels as well, and with 3 difficulty settings you can give yourself a real challenge if you want. And the game is by no means short, because this game is probably going to take you over 45 minutes to complete, meaning it's much longer than any of the other games we've looked at so far on the system. And that's a real plus, because it makes you feel like you've got a more fulfilling experience when you play the game. So overall in the content department, there's a lot. In terms of lifespan, again, pretty good. It's not the kind of game you're going to turn on and play through again straight away, but it's a great game nonetheless, and I feel it performs pretty well in this area. As always, that leaves us with our 2 final questions. Is Robocop vs Terminator still worth playing, and does it potentially feature in our Master System top 10? Now, if you've never played this game, it's well worth a go because it's actually thoroughly enjoyable from start to finish, as long as you can look past the sprite flicker and the slowdown. Another thing to take note is that if you wanted to play this game when it first came out on a console, you'd have to have got it on the Master System, because over here it didn't come out on the Mega Drive until May of 1994, and then the Super Nintendo in 1995, and I think these are contributing factors as to why it actually sold pretty well on the Master System. Now, does it feature in our Master System top 10? It does. It comes in at number 6, a pretty respectable position. And the thing is, if the performance issues weren't here, it would have actually featured even higher, because I actually really like this game, and I think it's a really good game from start to finish. Now, of course, these are just my thoughts and my thoughts alone. If yours differ, or if you agree with me, let me know with a comment down below. Or also, let me know if you played this on the Master System, or the Mega Drive, or the SNES, or the Game Gear. Leave me a comment down below. And like always, I'll be back in the near future with another review. Goodbye for now.